Guess who's back? Back again. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? What's up, people? This is episode 24, Sports Debate Tuesday, along with Rob. Keep it McLean. I am Jason DeBeas. We are your hostess with the mostest, and today we got a lot of subjects. Donald Trump tweeting, getting himself back in sports. Cam Newton's tired of being humbled. But today, we're going to start off with the UFC. In recent news in UFC, Gilbert Burns, who was supposed to fight for the title this coming Saturday, July 11th at UFC 251, was supposed to fight Kamaru Usman, pulled out, tested positive for COVID. The main event, number one title contender, Gilbert Burns, is out. Exit Burns. Enter number 3 ranked Jorge Gamebred Masvidal. The guy has so many freaking nicknames now. Street Jesus, whatever you want to call him, we love him. So Rob, let's get our reaction to this. Exit Burns, enter Masvidal. Your thoughts? Your first reaction when you heard this?
I mean, I always feel like it's toughest for the person who loses their opponent and has to fight somebody else, you know? Because now, again, you're on even playing ground. And I even think it's the advantage to the person who takes that short notice, just because if you are already game planning for that type of fight, you know what you're going to go in there and do. And you can kind of just, mash out 6 days of something you're trying to do and go in there the 7th day and just fight, But, I really think that Jorge Masvidal has the advantage because I think they've been thinking about fighting each other for a long time, and now Kamaru Usman, who's just been preparing for a Gilbert Burns, a possible fight with Jorge Masvidal. But when you think it's Jorge Masvidal, now it's Gilbert Burns, you're in the gym working, and then your mindset switches. Now it's got to switch back again. Jorge Masvidal has just been, hey, if I'm fighting, I'm fighting. I'm ready to fight. And he got on short notice, but he's still going in the same direction, which is just forward. I think it's really difficult for somebody. And I'm not saying that Kamaru Usman is not capable of it, but it takes a lot of compartmentalization to still do your best, And he does have not a very complex offense, so it's very easy for him to kind of do what he's doing. But he's also got to go against a very, very fast, quick, big-bodied, can wrestle too. It's not like Jorge Masvidal is a slouch in the ground game, so. I think it's going to be a really exciting fight. I think it's exactly what we would expect from what we saw out of Conor and Khabib. I think this is a better version of Conor and Khabib, where, the big wrestler guy maybe has a little bit less skill on the ground, but a lot more skill in the stand-up game. And then Jorge Masvidal, maybe a little bit more skill on the ground, maybe a little bit less skill on the feet, but he's quick as heck, and man, he has those suicide squad, punches that he just, rallies that he goes after, and he hits you once, man, he could put you out. So I think it's going to be a great fight. Yeah. And I think that Jorge Masvidal is in the leader in the driver's seat.
Yeah, man. Listen, as far as being on some real champ stuff, I got to give it to Kamaru Usman, man. He's always wanted to be the champion. He beat Tyron Woodley, who's one of the best defensive fighters in 170, and still has a right hand that could sleep the gods as well. Came out there. Everyone thought that Covington was going to be this extremely boring fight, and, they bit down in their mouthpiece and they delivered, and he trusted his ability to stand up and did everybody. What I called, a couple episodes ago, I called that a service to humanity. I actually broke the guy's jaw, wired his jaw shut, and it shut him up at least for a little bit, And when he finally opened his mouth, he complained that it was an early stoppage, but I actually thought the stoppage was right. I thought he was in a place where he could have sustained more damage, and big up to I believe it was Herb Dean refereeing that match. So with that being said, who else is on some champ stuff, man? Jorge Masvidal. You are right. This is an upgraded version of Khabib and Conor. Why? Listen, Jorge Masvidal lost 13 times. I believe his record, and I think I got it right here. His record is 35-13. But you look at that dude's lineup. That dude fought everybody. That dude's lineup is much, much better than Conor. Conor's a most capable lineup. His highest octane lineup was at 145. Everybody he's fought at 155 or whatever. He's defeated Donald Cerrone. Donald Cerrone's got the most wins, but that's because of quantitative reasons. He's a lifelong journeyman. Let's face it. I mean, he's one of my most beloved fighters, but let's face it. Diaz was a journeyman until he moved that needle, until Conor moved that needle, okay? Both of those fights were at 170, so we ain't even talking about Conor. Khabib Nurmagomedov, I mean, this dude has everything Khabib has with better boxing. So this is an upgrade or whatever. I was excited to hear about this fight because Dana's all about that next man up, man. Particularly for main events. There are very few main events that get changed last minute and they turn out to be bad. For some reason, they all turn out to be better. We were just talking about Conor. The reason why Diaz and Conor even happened was because RDA pulled out. How about that? The reason why Michael Bisping actually held the 185-pound division hostage was because he got a fight on 9 days' notice to fight Luke Rockhold. Rockhold was supposed to rematch with Chris Weidman, who's a wrestler, and Rockhold, he says, you know what, I'm not really prepared that much for Michael, but Michael's not going to hit me with anything hard to hurt. And what did he do? He stuck his big, arrogant chin out, and he got his block knocked off by a guy who has a reputation for hitting hard, but not necessarily to having knockout power. He ended up fighting, went from training from a conventional righty to a left-handed guy that fights righty. Michael Bisping's a lefty. So getting back to this fight, man, I love it. Both of these guys, American top team, up and down. Both don't need a long time to do a blueprint or game plan on everyone. They know each other really, really well. And the only lurking variable going on, I believe he's got to cut just under 20 pounds. To make the weigh-ins, and even though that's not what they want to do, they ATT guys can't, particularly the wrestlers. ATT guys cutting 20 pounds is not like I'm not gonna say it's not like a big deal. It's gonna be more tedious, but it's not gonna suck him dry the way other people cut weight. They know how to cut weight in that camp. So to answer the question, because MMA, I start talking about everything. I like this fight because Jorge's star power is better than Burns, and really this is what Kamaru needed, just like what Anderson Silva needed. Anderson Silva needed a Chael Sonnen to get people to put people in seats. Aldo really needed Conor McGregor. He didn't need to get knocked out in 13 seconds, but he needed that to put the butts in seats. And this is exactly what Kamaru Usman needs should he win. And we're gonna get to the winners, who's gonna win later. Actually, no, we're gonna do that sooner than later. I love it, and I love this whole freaking card.
There's a lot of great fights.
Big up to Dana White too for testing, because last week we had a conversation about educating ourselves on what we know about COVID-19 thus far, knowing the risk and then assuming the risk, and then taking intelligently, taking calculated risk. This Fight Island, there's nothing within 10-mile radius of it. Everyone tests positive. They're on that island, and if they're negative, they're gone. If they're negative, before they get to the island, they never even make it to the island. Jessica Andrade had to get tested twice. So, all right. So listen, who wins? Let's start with the main event. I'm gonna put them up for us so our devoted audience can see it. All right. Let's start Paige Van Zandt, Amanda Ribas.
I honestly don't really know much about these two, even though I've like they've been on so many fights that I've tried to watch. But I'll go with Ribas on this one. I'm not sure about Paige Van Zandt. I'm still a little
Well,
sure about her.
To me, activity is a big thing. Activity is the common denominator. I go with Ribas because she's more active and she's fighting more. And when you're 9-1. And hopefully she's not going to underestimate Paige Van Zandt.
Right.
We don't look at Paige Van Zandt and think fresh meat. The woman can, don't let the good looks fool you, and don't let her losses to people who, by the way, are really good fighters fool you either, right? She lost to Rose Namajunas. Rose Namajunas was a champ, okay? She lost to Karate Hottie Michelle Watterson. We know Karate Hottie, even though she's had some tough losses, that girl comes to brawl, to scrap all the time, right? You've seen her fight. She's a scrapper, dude.
Right.
All right, so Andrade, this is a rematch. Andrade is the one who beat Rose Namajunas for the belt before losing to Zhilei Wang. So who wins that one?
I'm gonna go with Rose Namajunas on this one, just because in a rematch, um, Rose I thought was winning the fight, pretty decisively the last time, and then Andrade just did this, massive power move and just threw on her head, and then that was the fight. But yeah, I feel like even if it goes into deep water, I'm more, I'm happier with the more skilled fighter.
Yeah.
I'd rather pick the more skilled fighter in a later fight. Skill will always go further than athletics, or being athletic in athletics. So, yeah, I'm definitely on Rose on this one. I'd love to see what she looks like now after the quarantine, after a little time.
No doubt.
I think, yeah.
Well, I have a new rule for the show. Anything you say, and if I feel the exact same way, I'm not going to waste the audience time to echo your sentiments, okay? You said
Cool.
exactly everything I was going to say verbatim as far as the match going further, who has a better gas tank, and who was actually winning that previous fight until she got dropped on her head. Boom.
Perfect.
Skip that. Peter Yan, Jose Aldo. I am amped for this one, dude. I am amped for this one, dude. Oh, all right, I go first. Got to go with Aldo. Aldo's got good skill set. Aldo's got his learning experience losing to Max Holloway. There's nothing to really learn from Conor McGregor except don't jump in angry and think you're invincible. He knows his vulnerabilities. He knows his limitations. And his last few fights, man, he staved off some people that I thought were coming after him because he was a wounded animal. Aldo is no longer a wounded animal. Aldo is officially dangerous, but so is Peter Yan. Who's your pick?
Yeah, we don't agree on this one.
Nope.
I believe that Peter Yan is going to walk through Aldo. I think Aldo is just past his time at a top 5 fighter in any division now. I just think that the way the fighters are coming out now, the older the fighter is, you'll be just a little bit slower. I get the experience, but at this age, I honestly feel that Peter Yan is just going to overpower Jose Aldo. And he's very skilled as well, but Aldo is a bit older. He's got a weaker chin. You're going against a power guy who's incredibly skilled, who kick or hit body, face, and then we're not even talking about the ground game. So I don't really see Aldo doing very well. But again, I think he's, he has that star power from that McGregor fight, and he's been doing great since that. And I wish him the best, but I just don't have him having the win in this one.
Yeah, look, I don't blame you. I think I'm as far as being the minority on this pick, I think out of my peers, I'm the only one that picked Aldo. But I just have my gut. My gut tells me it's him.
I would love to see another performance. I honestly, if I were to pick him, I would just be like, hey, I think he's gonna have another masterful performance from 10 years ago, and just make us all remember who Jose Aldo is, and go out in the shining horse.
Conor ruined him.
He
Ruined
did.
his legacy.
Oh, he did.
10 times more than Max Holloway did. You know what I mean?
And Conor barely had. He built a small legacy off Aldo, but he destroyed everything Aldo built.
It's true.
It's like.
And at the time, I didn't feel sad for Aldo because Aldo's pulled out more times than a general in a fucking whorehouse. Okay, and there go my sponsors. He's always pulling out of fights. There was a reason why, Conor had to fight Chad Mendez. He pulled out. Right, he's pulled out. He's sitting there holding the belt, hostage. You don't even get to see him defend it in a year. And so when Conor did that, I was like, oh, hurrah, hooray, hooray! Now we got a fighting champion. Now we have a fighting defending champion, which that didn't happen either, right? He still to date hasn't defended any title he's ever won. So I got honey-dicked on that one. I got hoodwinked, people, bamboozled. Okay, let's go to one of the double main events. We got Alexander Volkanovski against Max Blessed Holloway.
Whew, it's a tough one. Honestly, I always go with a fighter that is a bit shorter and has a longer reach. For some reason, I feel like that is just my X factor in the terms of thing. I feel like a little bit shorter always has a little bit better movement because they're kind of forced to. And the guys with the taller, longer arms, they just kind of, stick to what they know best. And I love to see Max Holloway back at 145. That's where he belongs. So we're going to see the best Max Holloway, and he's going to go against the absolute best in that division, which is Alexander Volkanovski. Who do I have winning, though? I mean, I have this going 5 all the way.
Just like last time.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's going to be like pulling straws. So I feel like it's going to be Alexander Volkanovski because he might be more willing to go take him down or get to the ground, where I think that Max Holloway is so good on the ground, so good on his feet, that he would rather stand and trade than maybe do something in a smart as a smart move, as a smart fighter, to get a couple extra points, and change the idea of the fight. Because if he can take him down, if he can take down Alexander Volkanovski, and is able to change the view of the fight, maybe making him more aggressive to get a couple more points, he opens him up to being able to put some more hurt on him to get more points for himself. So I think if Max Holloway could be able to play more of a chess game at this high level, which he hasn't had to in a long time, he's definitely in the driver's seat. But yeah, I have to go with Volkanovski on this one.
Yeah, really tight decision, razor close decision the first time, and I think it's going to go similarly this time. And it could, and sometimes these tight decisions can go one way or another. But I see Volkanovski winning again because one of Max's things, he's a volume striker and he's a good points guy, and eventually he gets his knockouts because his volume of striking is overwhelming. But he's facing a mirror image of himself that's at this point in his career seems to be doing that a little bit better than Max. And I mean, can Max outpoint him and outperform him? Yeah. Will he? But that's why picking these fights are fun. Who do I like more? I'm always gonna like Max Holloway more than Volkanovski. Not that Volkanovski's a bad dude. It's just Max is more beloved. He's more media friendly. His kid's adorable, and you always want nice things for him. So the real winner is me and you because we're gonna be proud to call either one of those guys our champions, right? Volkanovski's part of Israel Adesanya's team, so he's part of that movement. And 21-1 is no joke, particularly in the fights that he chose to take last minute, and the fights that he had to prepare for leading to this title. And hey, 145 is going to be deep. It's going to be, I call it three deep, 4 deep, So let's get to the main event. The main event is now Jorge Masvidal at 170 fighting Kamaru Usman. Rob, $1 million question. Who wins this one?
Man, I just, and this kind of is like another idea that I have of mine when it comes to UFC fighters. I do like a shorter guy with a longer reach, but I also dislike a longer guy with a longer reach. I think, again, this sport is made to exploit the advantages and exploit the disadvantages of your opponent.
Right.
And when it's too glaring on what you have to be good at, it's almost easier to counter that. And I think that Jorge Masvidal is a very, very smart fighter. I think that is one of the most underrated things that he's good at, is that he's so smart, and that when he decides to do something, he uses his whole force. He uses all of his twitch, all of his athleticism, and you can't really stop that, And then mixed with that, he's a very disciplined fighter. He's very flexible. He's able to kick from without, any type of windup. He has power in both hands. He's able to scramble and hit you off the scramble. He's able to back up, hit you when he's backing up. Kamaru doesn't have that ability. So I think it's really going to be interesting to see if Kamaru is going to try to stand more like the Colby Covington fight, or if he's going to try to put more hurt on him, especially coming off this long layoff where, his hands may not be the most crisp. Try to bring him to the ground like a Tyron Woodley fight and just try to point out and force Jorge to not score any points from the bottom. So I think that I honestly, and I'm going to be truthful, I really want to pick Jorge Masvidal because I love him as a fighter. I think that he's going to win this fight. I really do think he's going to win this fight. But I really think the smart choice is Kamaru Usman because his game is so simple. There's been so much going on. Everybody's been off of fighting for 4 months, And if you're talking about what's the most simple defense, what's the most simple offense, the easiest to come back at a high level is going to be what Kamaru Usman was able to do against Tyron Woodley and what he chose not to do against Colby Covington. So I'm going to have to go with Kamaru Usman in this. I think it's going to be a fantastic fight. I think it could be the start of a trilogy, especially with their bad blood. And I think that possibly Jorge loses this one and maybe wins the next two.
Wow, me. Got to go with Kamaru Usman. I think it goes 5 rounds. I think Kamaru Usman is a very tough guy to finish, and the only way I actually see Jorge Masvidal winning this fight is by finishing him. And if he does finish him, it's probably going to be in the 3rd round. Something that you said twice that I meant to mention and agree with you on was the reach. And if you look at the reach, sometimes it's not about having the reach advantage; it's about how you use your reach, right? Which is, again, yes. I go back to Conor. He has a 74-inch reach, just like Jorge Masvidal, but his slips are just amazing. He gets in and out. Now Kamaru has a longer reach, but I don't think he uses it the same way Masvidal uses it. If you looked at the Covington fight, there's no way Covington should have gotten in and out the way he did against a guy who has a significant reach, right? I've always complimented Tony Ferguson on his reach, and I didn't think he used it particularly well against Justin Gaethje. But in his defense, he was preparing himself to fight for a grappler, you know. Yeah.
Where distance is never going to matter.
Yeah. So I go with Usman, and I think he's going to get lumped up a little bit, but I would have picked Masvidal if I did not see the last fight, because the last fight, Usman showed me he can take a large amount of punishment. Because Colby Covington, I never seen Colby Covington load up like that. I mean, he usually just gets a couple of hits, and then pins you against the cage, gives you a couple of noogies, But I've never seen him load up and try to take someone's head off the way I saw him go after Kamaru Usman. 2 guys that just wanted each other that bad, dude. I mean, so the old saying is, one of the looking variables we need to look out for are body shots. I think Masvidal is very, very good at going to the body. I think one of his philosophies, Drake Jackson supports, is if you want a spectacular knockout, you got to go to the body. Something we saw Justin Gaethje do in a lot of fights too. He really bruised up Michael Johnson for that first win he got. And I don't know anything about this dude's defense, against body kicks or body shots, but that's when I want to watch out for the first 2 rounds. If he goes to the body or whatever and this and that, and Kamaru starts to feel it, look out, shout. The same way Stipe Miocic made that minor adjustment against Daniel Cormier, a fight that I thought Cormier was winning.
Absolutely.
When he got knocked out the 4th round, I thought Cormier was up 2-1. And some gave Cormier all the first 3. So, but then it was just boom. Oh, that don't hurt. Boom, that don't hurt. Boom. Oh,
that one hurt a little.
That don't hurt. Oh, cool, man. So, side question: how much do these fighters pulling out of the fights because of COVID affect the UFC and how they do their business?
I think most of the time it's very impactful, but talking about COVID, I think it's not as impactful because we're all in the same situation together, and it's because of one overlying factor. It's not different underlying factors each time, everybody's got to get tested twice. He could have been tested. He could have had a false positive, gone to Abu Dhabi and had a negative there and had to go home too, So I'm glad they caught it on the first round. But the most important thing is that everybody's safe, and I think they got it right by being able to have a great fight backup. And just like you were saying before, they've done a great job, a really, really, really good job of either being in contact with people before the fights, before anything happens, to make sure another fight is set up, or that they just keep everybody on check that, hey, if you're not fighting this weekend and you're not prepared, let me know, because I might be able to get you in a fight late notice and pay you really well if you're able to fight, if you're ready to fight. So whatever it is, they do a great job of putting really good backup fights on. But I think this is the fight game. A lot of people either use it for their advantage, but other people, they get injuries. You get sick. You get sick a week before the fight. You try to get it out. A couple hours before, it's like, yo, man, I just can't do it. I'm basically just going to be a punching bag for money. And it's just, I'd rather enjoy my sport. So I get it. And I think that the UFC has done a great job of trying to mitigate those factors.
Yeah. I think the UFC is a very good job at answering hypotheticals, right? Like COVID, they want everyone to stay home, and if you can't stay home, social distance. If you can't social distance, wear a mask. To me, that's the order. And sporting events, people say that's not essential. Like I heard someone have an argument on First Take. Like it's why are we doing this? It's not an essential. Like people, post office, these people, they're doing essentials, and I think that's to me the argument's illogical. It is a fact that it's not essential, but it being essential has nothing to do with whether you should do it or not. You're not shutting down all non-essentials because people are not leaving their house. Okay, so hypothetically, if they could do it, how would they do it? And that's what I'm commending the USC on. This is the hypothetical. If we're going to do it, how will we do it? Well, we'll do it like this, like this, like this. Boom, it's worked. Boom, this guy has COVID. Okay, he's out. Okay, that person doesn't, he's in. And they're keeping it simple because this is going to be a normal way of life. And we have to find ways to behave normally around it instead of just staying in the house and being scared of the news. So, and I think for our mental psyche, people disqualify that as an essential. For people's state of mind, for people's peace of mind, for people to be able to just feel normal and not feel scared all the time. That's an essential. Entertainment is an essential. Escapism is an essential. People call those non-essentials, and they are non-essentials on a very, very freaking temporary basis. So, yeah, they're the sport that's not skipping a beat, and I got to give them that. And I only brought that up because basketball, right? I know Florida's like not the place you want to be, but if you're in a place that's quarantined, if you're in Orlando, unless it's an airborne virus, and unless you don't trust full-grown adults to not behave like children and leave and come back and infect everybody, that might be the issue, And that's what's going on, Rob. That's what's going on everywhere. That's why beaches are being closed down. Basically, if we don't behave like adults, the government will treat us like children, right? I mean, if you have a social distance thing on the beach and you see a video in Florida and everyone's all bunched up, treating it like it's spring break, guess what? They're going to shut it down, right? In the NBA, if people start leaving and people start getting infected in that quarantine area, you watch how fast they shut it down. So this is not necessarily about getting rid of non-essentials. This is about a challenge to grown-ass men to behave, to understand what the virus does, knowledge so far, right? There's still knowledge coming in. Know the risk, assume the risk, and take calculated risk, right? Don't do dumb stuff. Don't do dumb stuff. I'm not saying people that got caught with this are dumb, but some people got it because they were stupid.
Yeah.
Right? Let's be real. Some people got it. Oh, I don't need the social distance. I don't need to wash my hair. I don't wear a mask.
People paying people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, man. Mm-hmm. And I think it goes again to that people just don't have a straight answer. And there is not really a straight answer here, but there's definitely a better answer than what we've been giving people, which is figure it out for yourself.
Yeah, that's crazy.
There's not one consolidated answer, and that's what we need right now.
Yeah.
Just to calm everything down in all sectors.
Yeah. But there is a generally accepted thing, right? Social distance, and if you're too close, wear a damn mask.
Sure.
And if you're lucky enough to have a job where you can work at home, that's cool. I mean, what? Do you really want to go in the office? No, you don't. So, all right. So that takes care of that. So let's take care of this uncomfortable topic that's coming up next. Donald Trump has hit the sports world again because obviously in his world of politics, the level of attention is not enough. Trump just sent out a tweet, and this is basically directed at NASCAR, particularly at Bubba Wallace. And the tweet goes as such, and I'm actually just going to put it up for people to read. Basically, it says, has Bubba Wallace apologized to all those great NASCAR drivers and officials who came out to his aid, stood by his side, and were willing to sacrifice everything for him, only to find out that the whole thing was just another hoax. That and flag decision has caused lowest ratings ever. So, Rob, I wanted to get your reaction, but this one I think I want to go first.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before I say what I gotta say, I'm not. This is not a political show, and my reaction is not a political reaction. My reaction is just gonna be based on what the facts are and my opinions due to those facts. Let's start with the facts. The noose was found, not by Bubba Wallace, by one of his people. We agree so far?
Mm-hmm.
All right. That was reported. And it was put on blast because it's not something it is my opinion that that's not something that they wanted to hide that comes out later. So based on that fact, that's my opinion. With that being said, if it's discovered months ago, it is my opinion that he didn't plant it months ago. It's not. To me, it's my opinion. It's not a hoax based on this fact. It's my opinion. Based on the fact that they all came together and they all support him, which, by the way, is not sacrificing anything. They're not risking anything. They're not the ones that are getting death threats, right, by email or on social media. They're not threatening his life. And the third one, that flag and decision has caused the lowest ratings ever. No, the lowest ratings ever have to do with COVID. But people are still not watching sports because sports without fan support, like UFC viewership is down, even though they're doing great, So that fact is not logically connected to a flag, all right? And it's also a fact that statistically in 2016, 42% of people that are NASCAR fans voted for Barack Obama, who is an African American, who is a liberal, and who is against the Confederate flag. So I don't think that it is my opinion that taking the flag away didn't drop the ratings. So this man it's clickbait. He's out of his freaking mind. And the only one that's actually risked everything by coming forward and saying Black Lives Matter and his career is this individual, Bubba Wallace, who I think has done it with a heightened level of honor, And big up to the floor is yours in a minute, but big up to NASCAR. Big up to NASCAR that's saying we're defending him, but not because we're defending the black man. We're defending our brother. Okay, that happens to be black. He has something that's highly personal to him, and you know what? This man has supported everything that's highly personal to us, so we come in a bat for him. So, from the media that covers NASCAR all the way up to the drivers themselves, all the way up to upper management, thumbs up. Floor is yours. Your reaction when you saw this tweet, which I judge as apolitically asinine.
Yeah, I never thought that I would say that a president needs to refuse to have communication with the public. But, man, it's just kind of crazy how completely off-hinged that a president of the United States, right? This is what we're talking about, a president of the United States is talking about. And usually it's had to have good insight, and now it's that we just can't get him out of our face. The hardest thing I think that it is that I hear in that statement is that that word hoax. There's no hoax. There was nobody tried to plan anything. If anything, at the best case scenario, it was put there, and it was made there for somebody who that track was shared with a local racing team, and they did that there because there's some racist people over there, but not in the NASCAR, of course. But it doesn't matter. The whole fact is a noose was tied. What is a noose for? A noose was on that garage door for 2 years. What does that signify? Right? That signifies, even just like the Confederate flag was flying up there. It was like, oh, Confederate flag, oh, noose. Okay, I see what's going on here. These are significant symbols for a community back in the day. So
hoax is what stuck out to you, though, right? Is that what
hoax is what stuck out just because he didn't do nothing. All he did was report what he saw. He didn't even blame anybody,
and he didn't even report it.
Yeah, all he did was be a part. Be involved. Be the most recognizable person in the room, whether it's black or a NASCAR driver or whatever it was, and even if he didn't report it, the reason why they reported it, if it was, I'm not trying to say it like in a mean way, but I don't think there would be a reason why somebody on a team where they don't feel like that person would feel in a very bad way about that signal, that symbol, right? If that's been there for 2 years, there's been a lot of people that's seen that symbol and have not thought any type of way about it, but not even Bo himself, somebody who understood why he might feel a certain way had to go and report that, right? So I think it's more about the atmosphere that's being portrayed here, as opposed to what factually happened, right? I don't need to hear about somebody's opinion on what's going on. Like, in all seriousness, Trump is just making his own news.
Yep.
He's just talking about things in his own manner and having his own opinion on it, and saying, and I agree to a certain extent that news needs to be a lot more unopinionated. But that doesn't mean we make more opinionated news and we call everything that's trying to be unopinionated, even though it's not. It's trying to be unopinionated. Instead of trying to hold it accountable, we just say, hey, fake news.
Especially if his supporters accept this as fact.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, look,
Exactly.
you got the operative word you got out of this thing was hoax. The operative word I got out of this was flag. All right. Obviously, this man's trying to cling on to a base that probably the only thing that's left. And I'm not telling anybody who I'm voting for, because it's none of your damn business, and I don't even know if I'm gonna vote for either the left or the right on this one. But with that being said, if you talk about the flag lowering your ratings, that means you're appealing to a group of people that are nationalist dominated. Or not nationalist, because that's not right. The Confederate flag's not even a country. We had a war. We literally had a war over this. So
Cessationalist.
yeah, but I wanted to finish with this free speech. Okay, I'm a big proponent of free speech, but I want to let everybody listening out there let you know that free speech is not free speech. Free speech protects you from government persecution, from government arrest for what you say. Okay, it doesn't protect you from other free speech. When that chick that told LeBron James to shut up and dribble, like everyone's saying, oh, she doesn't have a right to say that. Yes, she does. Yes, she does. But her free speech doesn't protect her from other free speech, right? It doesn't protect her from LeBron saying back she can go kick rocks, which he didn't say. He just said, I ain't gonna shut up and dribble. Like Donald Trump, look, this is his free speech. He's exercising it, but he's got to know, even from his own supporters and even from the people that oppose him, this doesn't protect him from other free speech. NASCAR, their response was not even heavy. They didn't even come at him rabid. They just said, "Hey, look, this is, clearly this is not a hoax." Yeah, they really took the high road. Man, what a classy group of people there. I'm learning. I mean. Should we even thank Trump that I'm watching NASCAR now? No, but he's idiotic enough to take credit over it. Okay, And ladies and gentlemen, we're getting the hell in and out of this topic because because there's some of y'all out there, like if you're an Obama person, he could do no wrong. He could drone whoever he wants. If you're a Trump person, he could do no wrong. I mean, I seen people ready to start fistfights over someone they never even met. I'm wearing a Yankee hat. I was at Redondo. I was at the coffee shop at Redondo, and there's 8 guys out there yelling at everyone that goes by, "Go Trump, go Trump." And then someone walked by with a Yankee hat, and they say "F the Yankees" or "F New York." And then they saw me with a hat, and I'm like, so and on one end, you're saying "F New York," but the guy you're voting for is from Queens in New York. That's the route I'm going at, not left or right. I'm talking about things that make sense. Have your free speech, but free speech doesn't mean someone can't call you a moron. Okay, we all know that ignorance is not only bliss; it's constitutional. This was a moronic tweet.
That's a very good point. Like free speech is protected, by the government, from the government, but it also doesn't protect you from. Like you said, Laura Ingraham saying that to LeBron and Laura Ingraham losing her job because other people spoke out against what she said, right? Because they're the consumers, because she speaks to the consumer. She doesn't just run her like a
She's
news
still there.
business. Yeah, I know, but she got a lot of backlash for that.
Good.
She lose a lot of pay for that. She lose a lot of endorsements for that.
Yep.
She closed a lot of doors from that, right?
Because that's their
So-
free speech, right? Because that's
Yes,
their free speech
right.
and retaliation.
Right.
My man.
And that's what I think people have to understand is that a movement can be more than what everybody else says it is, as opposed to trying to prove that it's not this or not that. Like, Black Lives Matter, sorry that I have to say that, is a humanitarian movement. It is not a political stance.
No.
So it's about some people not living anymore because of a certain issue. And we're talking about the issue, and everything else is conflation. Everything else is people talking about things that do not matter.
Yeah.
Let's change the system. Sorry that y'all are upset, but we changed the system because it's just not right.
Yeah,
It's just not right.
I agree. Well, anyone who thinks that all life is precious should be on board with this. So
Exactly.
I don't think it's a Democratic or
So
Republican thing.
Where,
What did you call it?
where
You call it a
underneath-
humanitarian
where underneath
movement?
All lives matter. Does Black
Yeah.
lives not lay?
Right,
That's,
yeah.
that's that.
Is that what you called it? A humanitarian movement?
It's a humanitarian issue.
Excellent. Excellent. Well phrased. Good. Yeah, I had that in my intro and outro last week. Chris Austin, who,
Perfect.
as you know, old college buddy.
That's my guy.
Yo, love Chris Austin, man. With Chris Austin's no frills, man. Dude's
Yeah.
all no nonsense, all business. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that whole team that you played on was like that. I'm like, geez. I'm like, at least Rob's here in spirit. All right, so let's move on to the next topic. Let's talk about the Redskins. All right, rumors are continuing to circulate that there is pressure coming from all sides to change the name, Washington's team, the Redskins. At the same time, 3 Redskins minority owners are looking to sell their stakes, and these 3 minority owners represent 40% of the team. So, Rob, looking into this correlation, what are the chances Dan Snyder's going to budge or not?
Well, you know, the one thing that makes all owners in all sports shaking their boots is slashing of their bottom line. So he's losing 40% of his bottom line of people that, you know, he either trusts or has the opportunity to be the leader of them. He's got to bring in and start schmoozing 40% more of the business that he's got to sell now or that's going to be sold off from him because, you know, he's the leader of that team. And it's been years and years and years of Dan Snyder not doing anything. And it's, you know, it just comes to fruition, you know, and I love that there is black ownership in Washington Redskins. I don't think that they should sell. I think that they should force him to sell 20%. You know, I think it's been way too long. He's had so many opportunities to create, again, protecting the image, create a great image for his team. The franchise has been trashed for so many years. They've never done good things on the field, and now they're creating bad press off the field and have been for years and at a bad time. And it's still, even right now, can't even say it's going to change because that would be a definitive answer as opposed to we'll see what we can come up with. You've been seeing what you had to come up with for years now. Like I said, like is it the fact that you can't come up with a better name? I mean, there are thousands of names you can come up with just to put on your team's name. I get that it's if you're having trouble with the financials, see if the NFL will back you. But the fact that you can't make a decision is disturbing, at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Look, this name I didn't really think of in the 90s, Redskins, whatever, this and that. But then you know, the not the news, but like people start talking to different tribes, you know, different reservations and their thoughts and sentiments. And to me, if more people in those tribes are offended than they're not, I think it's time to change the name. I'm not a big fan of changing the name just because a handful of people are offended. I mean, and has to make sense. I'll give you an example. The Chiefs. I mean, what if you think of what a chief is, or whether it's an Indian chief or whether it's a chief of police, and obviously Chiefs because you look at the symbols, the emblems or whatever, and it's Indian related. Chiefs, I mean, that's a bunch of G's, man. Right? That's a bunch of bosses, man. Who the hell don't want that team to be called the Chiefs? You know? And of course I'm speaking from an ignorant place. someone that only knows what I know, which might not be known better. Maybe someone writes to me and says, hey, let's dial it back on that. This is this. And I'll be like, okay, let me do my own research. Let me ask some people, whatever. But so I'm not a big proponent in changing the names for every team just because whatever. I mean, but yeah, Chiefs got to go. I'm not Chiefs got to go. Jesus Christ. The Redskins got to go. I've been calling them Washington for so long. You never even hear me. You never even hear me use the name. I don't even use the team now. I just say Washington. So
well, let me tell you about that. Is like the other issue with that is there's been a lot of teams throughout the years who have changed their names.
Please.
And some of the most prominent schools, as well as some schools that we know just from being on the East Coast, but Stanford, Stanford Cardinals. They were the Stanford Indians until 1974. Again, it's not like I'm chastising them, but they took it on themselves to change. And now the Stanford the Stanford Cardinal is known, everywhere. Like you say Stanford, the first thing you think about is Cardinal. So
the Cards.
The fact that you think that this name means more than your franchise, your team, what you embody, has another image, has another lesson. Same thing with St. John. They had. They said it was for red jerseys, but again, their name was the Redmen, and at that time there were so many teams that said Redmen that were Redmen.
And the emblem was Indian related too, so they're lying about that too. But go ahead.
So they're just pulling at straws at that point. But you have Marquette, another great basketball team that was named the Warriors until 1994, right? And they a lot of people knew them. They did a great job in NCAA championships. Great runs everywhere. What's his name? Baron Davis came from there. It's just a lot of great talent came from that school.
Blue chip basketball program, yeah.
Blue chip basketball program.
Mm-hmm.
And then now they're the Golden Eagles. It's a fantastic name. It's honestly embodies what their colors and their school is all about. So the fact that in this day and age you can't think forward and to progress and not be fearful that I need to stay where I am because that's safe. I think that's the bigger message across all these platforms is that progress is scary, but we need to do it together, and to stay in the past, no matter what it is, even if you think you're in the right, if you're staying in the past, you're not moving forward.
God bless.
So if it is good, it will last over time.
Yeah.
Believe in that.
Syracuse Orangemen, yeah.
Syracuse Orangemen. You have even the Utah Utes. They actually were forced to change.
Sorry, I'm from Brooklyn. But go ahead.
I hear you. But they were the Suyo Chiefs or something, and then they changed to the Utah Utes because they actually went to neighboring tribes around the area and asked them if they were able to use their symbol and use their name to promote even just the Indian tribes of the area. So I think there are, again, favorable ways to go about it, as well as, uninformed and unintelligent ways.
Dude, when you said I was thinking about my cousin Vinny.
Utes.
Yes. Is it safe to say that the two Utes, two what? What? What'd you say? What'd I say?
Utes.
What is a Ute? Oh, excuse me, Your Honor. Two youths. Is it safe to say that the two defendants? So, yeah, I like the conversation because even if someone disagrees, I'd rather have someone have a conversation and disagree and know where they stand than not have the conversation at all, and to be dismissive. No, we're not going to talk about it. No, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Until, of course, they get to the Cowboys, and then it'll be a civil war all over again.
Yeah, let's not.
Oh, no. So what do we do? Do we do our next section, right? I believe my favorite section, my personal best, is called Good Idea, Bad Idea. Oh, my God. Got my kids stomping. So, Rob, good idea, bad idea. Let's actually start this over, if I can reset it. Well, good idea, bad idea. Bucks and Kings shutting down their facility until they get to Orlando.
Good idea. I think that the least amount of contact possible is good in there. Although I think they should have a cleaning place. People coming in, just make sure it's, everything's flush and fresh. But I think keeping it closed is good.
Yeah. Rob, I co-signed with you. Good idea, because they had some positive test cases in both of those facilities, them along with one or the two other basketball franchises. And they're thinking, hey, we got a 3-week camp. In 3 weeks in Orlando should be plenty of time to get prepared for that. So co-signing with you. Clock stopped, so we'll stop. Good idea.
Ciao.
Rob, good idea, bad idea. Baseball having a 60-game season. Go.
Good idea. I think that it's an opportunity for baseball to see how a shortened season might look, and see if the top teams have to play the first 80 games of the season to see who the best 10 teams to fight for another 2 months of a playoff series would be. So I think it's a great idea.
I think it's a great idea because baseball is 162 games, and even though it's America's pastime, and even though a lot of these stadiums sell out the entire year, blood starts boiling, tension gets high, butt cheeks get tight when the playoffs or the pennant race is coming. So when you think about a 60-game season, you think instant pennant race, you think instant adrenaline, you think instant exciting time to be a baseball fan, you think instant oh man, we're just here. Baseball is here, and the playoffs are here, and the World Series is just around the corner. Ooh, guess we don't get no horn today. All right, Rob, good idea, bad idea. Cam Newton posts on social media that he's tired of being humble. He's paraphrasing. He's a lion. He wants to roar. I'm gonna roar. Good idea, bad idea.
Good idea. I think that like they were saying on on a couple shows earlier, was that they're giving Cam full reign to be that alpha player. And with losing Gronkowski, losing Tom Brady, they don't have that number one guy. And I think him not being humble sets him on a different path of not trying to be, the most fan friendly, the most excitable player, but to be a winner. And I think in the system that he's going into, he needs to be that type of player.
Yeah, co-signed with that. Good idea, because if you are who you say you are, superstar, right? It's one of those things where that's being confident is not the demon he has to conquer. Being able to take it as well as dish it is whatever, right? When he wins, he's media friendly. He's wearing these new clothes, these ridiculous outfits. But when he's losing, he can't handle it. And Bill Belichick is one of those guys that would rather have you not answer questions at all. I don't think Bill Belichick's the kind of guy that's going to try to break him down. Because of his ego. I think Bill Belichick's the kind of guy that's going to let his ego take its course. Because Bill Belichick knows personalities, and he knows that there are certain types of players that play that way because that chip on their shoulder puts pressure on themselves to live up to their expectations. I, as a former player, was like that. The biggest thing on me as a former volleyball player was that Jason thinks he's better than he really is, and I'm like, you're right. I do think I'm better than I am, and I talk the talk, and I do this, and then when I get on the court, and I know that the first mistake that I make, someone's gonna come at me, so I always make sure I'm on that court with a mistake-free approach. I'm gonna make some mistakes, whatever, but I can take it because I was at this point in my career where I was overachieving. Until I became that person. I faked it till I made it. So I understand. I'm not saying Cam is faking it till he makes it, but I think he's that type of person where putting that chip on his shoulder and saying, "Come and get me, I'm ready," is his way of keeping him up all the time. How about you? You're just one of these mental preparation players, right? You're just.
I live and breathe my sport, so every day I'm doing something, visualization wise, or honestly, the times I actually physically get to touch the ball, I'm so excited because I've been in my head thinking about stuff so much. So yeah, it's more of that. I'm just a very cerebral type of player, so it's kind of my mind's always going, so it's never going to be spiked or it's never going to be low. It's just I just embrace that.
I can appreciate that. So Rob, we got a little before we go thing having, and I'm going to keep mine as short as I can. special place in my heart. I meant to talk about it last week. I saw the documentary Believe Land. Basically, it's about sports teams in Cleveland and how people were just thirsting for a championship and they've come close and not to be. They've come close. 1995, remember, lost to the Braves. Have come close. LeBron James, the king is coming. Oh my God, the king just left us. Oh, the king is back, and then they finally got one. Watching this movie made me appreciate. I have two things I got out of this. It made me really appreciate the movie Major League. Major League in Cleveland is religion. Major League in Cleveland is like, I think kids grow up believing it's a documentary.
I thought I did too. I had to look up like Cleveland and be like, I thought they won back in 90. What was it, 95 or something?
Just
like,
amazing.
Did they have that big comeback season with that really terrible owner or something like that? Like, Wesley Snipes is on the team.
That was one of the things I got from it. And the second thing I got from it, I'm going to tell the city of Cleveland, you watch your mouth and you show some respect. Don't be talking about how Cleveland Cavaliers were your first champion in 50 years. Watch your mouth. There is a man named Stipe Miocic who knocked out Fabricio Verdum to become the first heavyweight champion of the UFC, which is the gold standard for mixed martial arts. In essence, is the baddest man on the planet. We don't call the heavyweight boxing champ the baddest man on the planet anymore. No, the MMA heavyweight champ is the baddest man on the planet. Because they can take the fight wherever you go. They take you down. You're not going to scream, oh, I want to bang. I want to bang. Let me up and bang. No, your first champion in 50 years was this man. You want to talk about humble? Your humble champ, who, by the way, is a full-time firefighter for a firehouse, a fire department in Cleveland, Ohio. Believe in your man. Stipe Miocic. And I love the documentary because I love that it's a true sports town. These people didn't abandon their teams the same way I'm abandoning the Knicks. So, anything before we go? I had to do a Believe Land shout out.
I saw a really tough thing I wanted to shout out this morning. I saw, and I had followed the story a little bit, but Broadway star Nick Cordero passed away from
that's right.
coronavirus. Yeah. And then it just kind of hit me so super hard because, just the way that people take, the whole a hoax, the coronavirus is a hoax and it's not a real thing. There's like, 200,000, 120,000 deaths within a 6-month period. The fact that people can't see that as what the hell is going on is a very big problem. And just to see that someone fought this with top medical care. He's a Broadway star. People actually know him.
Tony nominated. Bullets Over Broadway. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a well-known person. So he's getting celebrity treatment. And he couldn't beat it after a month long, which means that he himself was in that battle for a very long time.
90 days.
And he just, he just couldn't go any longer. And that's what we're fighting against. And I just want people to really understand that, put yourself aside. If you've never looked outside yourself, now look outside yourself and start having empathy for other people. If you don't know what empathy means, look it up in the dictionary. Start trying to enact it in your life. There's YouTube videos. There's information. For all this information out there about politics, we need to start working on ourselves a lot more, right? So if all those people who don't meditate, who don't want to work on themselves, who don't pray, who don't do anything to help themselves, and then speak on how everybody else has to do it a certain way, y'all need to go help yourselves. So that's my shout out.
Big shout out. R.I.P. Nick Cordero. Spent 90 days in the hospital. Was actually comatose. Was had to have a pacemaker put in. Was originally admitted to the hospital, misdiagnosed for pneumonia. Yeah. Oof. This day in sports, Serena beat her sister in 2002. In the finals, I believe it was
what a final.
Wimbledon, or something like that. Yeah, it was Wimbledon.
What a final.
Yeah, that was fun.
Some energy.
Also, on a personal note, R.I.P. Charlie Daniels from the Charlie Daniels Band. The Devil Went Down to Georgia.
I love that song.
Love your shout out, Nick Cordero, man. Canadian dude, turned Broadway extraordinaire. All right. Hey, that's all we got. I've had it with you people. Some great insight by my man Rob. Keeping McLean, and in that spirit, for Rob McLean, and for everybody at home watching this on their desktop, old school, re-rule the world. For all of you online at Starbucks on your iPhone that can't miss a minute of this. For those of you on your iPad or your Android, We love you, and we say so long. We're out. Come check out the Option Podcast on OptionVB.com. It's also available on iTunes and Spotify and on YouTube under the NY Varsity Sports handle. You're going to love what you hear.